Hey folks, this is Eric Walls, field agronomist with Sun Ag. This week we're going to take a look at how the current weather could impact our corn as it comes into the reproductive stages. So I'm over in Eureka today. We're looking at corn plants that are just starting to put out some shoots. Dug down into the whorl up here, you can already feel the tassel. Pulled back some leaves, there's about 4 leaves. So this plant's about V14, V15. With current weather, 7-8 days, tassel should be out. Silk should be out shortly after that. This weather obviously has been brutal for us. The plants are loving it, and so are the diseases. I'm already seeing some gray leaf spot and some common rust in the corn plants. And where we're going to find those is going to be lower in the plant, the lower canopy. And that makes sense because a lot of these diseases overwinter here in the soil or on last year's infected residue. So they're gonna initiate at the bottom of the plant and work their way up. So while you're out there scouting, keep your eyes low initially, and then continue to periodically look up as well, because as we saw last year with southern rust that came in, it was higher in the profile. So some foliar diseases in corn that enjoy humid and warm conditions like we're having right now: common rust, gray leaf spot, northern cornleaf blight, northern cornleaf spot, southern rust, and tar spot. Those are all foliar diseases that are going to really move in this kind of weather. Hot and humid, and with prolonged leaf wetness. So I did walk a few rows into this field and found some gray leaf spot. Not much, but just one nice example. Edge of the field's not a good spot to scout for disease because it typically has good airflow, and it also dries out quicker in the morning if it's getting direct sunlight. So sorry, you're going to have to get out in the field and look for these diseases. I did see a little bit of common rust in here, two plants, but nothing that warrants any kind of spraying yet. But I do want to urge you to get out there, because this is the earliest I've ever found a gray leaf spot in corn that's still in that vegetative state. It's more common when it starts to transition to the reproductive stages. The plant's gearing more of its energy towards making an ear, and kind of lets its defenses down, so to speak. So this is concerning that we're already seeing some disease in these late vegetative states. Know that you may have to make an earlier application than you had planned this year if disease is present and working its way up the plant, and we have these warm and humid conditions. Then I'm going to recommend that we move up our fungicide application date. All right, turning to soybeans, I have growers asking when they should apply their fungicide. Typically, we look at that R3 growth stage. If you have a white mold concern, maybe you pull the trigger a little earlier. To stage a plant that's in reproductive stages, we see we have flowering. So R1 would be a flower on any portion of the main stem. R2 would be a flower at one of the top 2 nodes. So in the reproductive stages, we need to look for a fully developed petiole with three fully developed leaves. So when we're staging vegetatively, these are open, so that would be a trifoliate, but for reproductive stages, it's not a fully developed trifoliate. This would be a fully developed one in comparison. Again, I know the wind's bothering them, but quite a bit bigger leaves. So this will be our first node. We have a flower there. Here's the second node. So we do have flowers on the top 2 nodes with a fully developed leaf. So this would be an R2 plant. You can see we have flowers already starting to senesce, so they are moving along. Or this plant is anyway. This is a group 3, mid 3 bean, 3-4. So looks pretty good. A lot of flowers. If we're talking about defoliation with Japanese beetles, none of this is from Japanese beetle feeding. This is all wind damage. But if you were considering an insecticide for Japanese beetles, in the vegetative state, we need to see 30% defoliation. In the reproductive stages, which we're in now, 20% defoliation would be the trigger point. And again, that's on all the leaves. I know usually with the Japanese beetles, they'll be on the top, the plant will look terrible, but then as you go down, look through the rest of the plant, it's usually not that bad. So yeah, it's cosmetic most of the times, usually on the edges of the field initially. I'm starting to see them and hear them. So sometimes you're driving down the road, it sounds like you're hitting it. Sounds like you're going through a hailstorm. It's probably the Japanese beetles. So be on the lookout for that. Again, if you have any questions about staging soybeans or about the correct timing for that fungicide application, make sure you reach out to us. So as the corn plants end their vegetative stages, they get into the reproductive stages. R1 is silking, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit now. Is with all the moisture we've had, or most areas have had in central Illinois, we're gonna have plenty of moisture to get good silk growth this year. Hopefully we have the right temperatures so that everything takes place successfully. Know that silks can grow about 1.5 inches each day for the first couple days, and then it'll start tapering down after that, up to about 10 days of growth. Ideally, silks would be pollinated within the first few days, and many are pollinated by the 4th or 5th day. If you're starting to see silks that are excessively long, maybe 6+ inches, they probably have not pollinated. Just know that there could be some issues with kernel set when we have excessively long silks. The silks on the underside may not get access to pollen as it drops each day. Silk feeding may occur. As I mentioned, we have Japanese beetles in the area. I'm already starting to see the western corn rootworm beetle adults, so they are silk feeders. If we have feeding or silk clipping taking place down to about 1/2 inch in length and we have not completed pollination, then we need to look at maybe putting an insecticide on with that fungicide application. We can check our pollination by taking the husk back and seeing which silks fall away freely. So if they're falling away freely, know that pollination is completed and that you would not may not have to necessarily put any insecticide in there to help that process. Well, that's it for this week's Fieldside Chats. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe and a very happy 4th of July. Stay cool, friends.